Hi, I'm David Shindler and welcome to Learning to Leap's first podcast of 2016. Today I'm pleased to have with us Nyasha Duri, a 19-year-old based in London, and we're going to be talking about her fascinating job, career and learning adventures today. Motivation and resilience issues no doubt will come up. Welcome, Nyasha.
Hello, thank you very much for having me, Dave.
It's a pleasure. So, as I understand it, you originate from Zimbabwe and came over when you were about 9 years old. So, tell me a little bit about how your journey to date.
Yes, well, the reason for that was mainly just kind of, the economic stagnation going on in my country.
Yeah,
So I had already come around about 2002 in order to be able to financially support my sister who was in university in Australia. So
right.
that was the reason. So I was staying with aunts and, so I had I had a really great childhood. I think my mom kind of sometimes thinks, oh, I left you. But I mean, she didn't really have a choice, like being a
Yeah,
single. So yeah, it was really great. Like I really enjoyed that, and then I came here just to kind of be, I'm going to be with my mum now. So definitely, I think the culture shock and kind of the massive change that was
yeah.
something to really get used to. But I think I did go like I did like my primary school, and yeah, after a while you kind of settle into it and just learn new ways of being.
And how was your English when you were 9 years old, weren't you? How was your English when you arrived?
Now that's something that people can often say. I mean, the school system in Zimbabwe is excellent.
Yeah.
Obviously, funding system, but it's literally, I think, so when I got here and, people would say things like I was just, because I was expecting, I'm going to go to England, it's going to be the Queen's English, it's going to be all, well, I was just so shocked. So absolutely, like, English is really, it's taught well, the school that I went to. So it's like, it's almost, I'd say, more of a language than the actual national language in Zimbabwe. Like people,
Brilliant.
my English is better than my Shona.
So, how was your sort of what was your sort of thinking around what you were going to sort of do going into your sort of education system in terms of A levels and GCSEs and so on? What was you thinking?
Well, I think it was just kind of gradually going into it. I mean, yeah, the school I went to obviously gave a lot of direction. So I remember I thought about things like, law, etc. Then I kind of over after GCSEs and in year 12, I think that's when you start to really make the big steps and decisions.
Hmm.
So I like was going to taster courses, etc. And then I moved to international relations. And then obviously that impacted future choices that I made. So I thought about what would be useful for that and things like languages.
So when did you sort of come to the conclusion that international relations was something you were interested in?
I think because I think it was taster courses, and I went to law summer schools as well, and I kind of thought, well, this is interesting. I don't think
Mm.
it's as fulfilling for me to kind of sit there and say, could it be that? Let's debate this law. I thought I wanted to, I'd get a lot more out of kind of discussing the world and thinking about, what solutions we can find and like history and what that tells us.
Mm. And what kind of advice did you get when you were at school? In terms of direction to go in?
Well, yeah, they definitely signposted a lot of opportunities. I mean, they were the ones who got us onto, the taster courses, etc. website, and there was always something in the bulletin and newsletters for sixth form students telling
Mm.
us this is where you could go, you could try this. Like a lot of the opportunities I found were through school.
That's really, really reassuring to hear because a lot of young people complain about lack of career advice, lack of direction. So it sounds like you had a good experience.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think they really did try. They did like enrichment days, etc. And there was definitely support, and it was always kind of pick something for you. They didn't. I mean, they were engineering and languages specialist schools. They did
Mm.
encourage that, and obviously it's an all girls school, so obviously you want to encourage women into STEM. But at the end of the day, it's about what do you want to spend 3 or 4 years of your life studying.
Fantastic. So I also know that you got very interested in volunteering. So tell us a little bit about some of the things you've been doing.
I think I was always interested in it because obviously at school there are also opportunities to kind of be whatever clubs and helping out and volunteering there. But I think with NCS, I'd say that was quite a big
Right.
kind of really formative period because I think I mean after the program finished, we had those great experiences, getting to go to like a care home, etc., and really see what's rewarding about that. I think it kind of really clicked in my mind that I could think about my CV. I mean, I was trying to think when I made my first CV. Clicked for me, and I realized that I could use volunteering to kind of get to where I wanted to be. So I could think, okay, well, I have a gap here, I want to do that, I want to learn this, and think, well, where can I find? I mean, because if you tell people, I want to come help out, just free, just
Mm.
most people were really more than happy to come and accept that. So I think that was a big thing. And then so they signposted me to things like Be Inspired and all those great opportunities and do it.
And what's your sort of perspective on NCS? The National Citizen Service. What did you get from it, and what did you think the value of it was?
Oh, I think it was very valuable. I mean, for me, I really got so much out of it. Like, really, friends and people that you still talk to and that you connect. Obviously, you have 60 people in your wave, and then maybe there's like 5 that you're going to really, you're going to go on, and whatever, 4 years later, you're still talking and, knowing what they're doing with their lives. So I think it was, I personally, like, definitely for 2013, I think it was the best thing I did that year.
Brilliant. And what kind of activities did you get involved in? You said you got involved in a care home?
Yeah. That was more the volunteering aspect. But obviously, it was the whole team building and the whole challenging yourself and pushing yourself and really learning to kind of rely on other people in a team. I think that was quite a big part of it, because then you have those bonds that carry you through when you're doing stuff like, which is the later half that maybe most people kind of think, oh no, this isn't really what I wanted to do. But yeah, I really tried to, and keep like have an ongoing relationship. So when they did stuff, after we graduated, I kept going. So I was also on the youth board, so of course that helped. But even now, I got an email from them, I think it was a few days ago, and they said, oh, do you miss NCS? And they were to recruit people, because they like to recruit former NCS grads. So that's really fantastic. And I was actually thinking about one of the positions and thinking, I think I'd really enjoy that.
Brilliant. I've been involved in the ICS, which is the International Citizen Service, which is very similar, but doing the same thing but abroad. And I've heard many a tale from young people who've been on that, and the similar sort of experience, but in a different country. So really interesting. What other volunteering experiences have you had? I know you've been involved with Youth Employment UK, which is something that's dear to my heart. Tell us about that.
With Youth Employment UK, it's to be a social enterprise that's about kind of finding ways to help employers like see how to be more youth friendly and kind of keep youth unemployment on the agenda, and kind of trying to get influence the government and kind of bring in youth voice so that changes are made that will help young people out in the long run.
Brilliant. And what sort of activities have you been involved in?
Well, I guess the most recent thing was a consultation. So with the new teaching excellence framework that the government alongside universities to kind of be an equivalent to the research excellence framework, because I think that's kind of, they're saying that teaching sometimes is seen as subordinate, which obviously impacts kind of quality of degree that people get when they graduate. So that was really great. So I got to kind of help Laura out, because she needed to respond. So I kind of sent her my thoughts on that, and that was really quite challenging. Just go in there and tackle government policy. And I think some sections I just said, you know what, I don't understand. No point write something fancy and be So I just kind of focused on what I could say something about and share my views, and that was really great and rewarding. But I mean, it's a whole thing. Like you could do like writing articles and just supporting and going to events and just being an ambassador and talking to people and just really raising awareness and trying to obviously sign people up to the charter.
Fantastic. You sound really motivated about that, which is really great to hear. And you did your A levels sort of last academic year, and you're now what are you up to?
Well, I really wanted to take a year out just to kind of give myself a mental break, because I think year 12 and 13 was really challenging. And then, so I wanted to kind of focus on doing some entrepreneurial stuff, and I did want to kind of volunteer abroad and, find scope to do that. So I found a few opportunities that I'm trying to follow through with now.
So tell us about those. Tell us about the opportunities you're exploring.
Oh, okay. Well, one of them, so I'm part of Europeers UK. So they're a network for encouraging awareness of like mobility within the EU, especially Erasmus Plus. So they give like training sessions, and then you can apply to go to one, and a lot of them are fully funded or heavily subsidized. So that's just a really great opportunity to go and learn about other EU countries and kind of see the world and think about what being part of that community and that global network can do for young people.
And has that led to trips abroad?
Yeah, well, no. So what it is normally they'll give dates and say, oh yeah, we've got this coming up. So it's just about thinking whether or not it'll be possible. So I think the one that I'm thinking about most recently is one in Austria, which the dates look quite good for. So fingers crossed with that.
Fantastic. And I know that you're planning on going to university at the end of the year, and just tell us a little bit about what's informing your choices.
Well, apart from, standard things like looking at prospectuses, I guess, everyone, spends maybe too much time on student room. But yeah, I think just really, I think the best thing is obviously going to the actual university itself and, speaking to the teachers, speaking to the people, hearing from students, and, not the ones that are, helping you and, because they're going to be super positive, obviously you want to hear about people that, who don't enjoy it and maybe didn't have
Mm.
if you can find that. But yeah, I think it's just about really going there and trying to figure out for yourself whether you'd be happy there. But obviously, the most important thing is the course and the modules.
Mm.
Anything else like the environment, I would say it's secondary because at the end of the day, you want to get something that you're going to come out with. You're not necessarily going there to, yay, have fun, but it is a part of it.
And also, I mean, your interest in international relations, I understand, is leading you to think about possibly studying abroad.
Yeah, no. So I was really interested in maybe going to somewhere like Canada or Sweden. So maybe because I know in Sweden they've got a great program at Lund University. So
Hmm.
yeah, just I think the application process is so different to here because here you've got a personal statement, you can talk, you can really feel I'm convincing someone I want this. But in Sweden they're literally just send your transcripts, send your proof of being a there's nothing else that's so it's just I just don't get the process. But yeah, I mean, might as well throw my hat in, see what happens.
And what do you think might be the sort of advantages or disadvantages of a UK university education, maybe for one abroad?
Of a UK over and abroad.
Yeah, yeah, or vice versa. What do you think?
Well, I think the advantages of a UK one, obviously, from my perspective, is obviously it's a system that probably would be a lot more comfortable, and that I can kind of how things work, and I'll definitely be able to get a lot more support and resources from people that I know and say, oh, let's do this, let's talk about this. So obviously, it would be much easier in that sense, and obviously, we've got world class universities and Russell Group, etc., things that we understand in terms of
Mm.
worked for me here. But then with the abroad one, I think for me the appeal is I just really love that, the idea of a challenge and, to think maybe, 9 years in Zimbabwe, 10 years in the UK, and then, maybe such and such years in a completely different place. So I like that whole adventure and that having, new struggles and new things that you have to get your head around. I think it would make me quite an interesting candidate, and I just have to obviously think more about how I'm going to make sure that I'm completely safe when I try and bring it back here because obviously I wouldn't necessarily want to stay in Sweden
So very
long.
much you see yourself as a global citizen.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think that's the dream for everyone. Hopefully.
Brilliant. And in your gap year, you were telling me beforehand about some of the jobs you've been seeking out. Tell us a little bit about what it's been like to find work and to seek work and to sort of follow up your interests.
Well, I think as I was saying, so about volunteering and about using that to build up experience. Task Squad, who are run by Be Inspired, have
Mm.
been extremely helpful. Actually, I guess if I say that they were responsible for getting me my first kind of full 9 to 5, well, technically it was six, job. So that was
Mm.
really so that was kind of they kind of give you that background because you might not have had anything long term, but obviously based on your volunteering, you show these transferable skills and you show that kind of dedication that you're someone that can work hard. So yeah, so with Task Squad, I think that was probably the job that I got. I think it was maybe the second or third thing I applied for, and then yeah, so it was at a video recruitment startup.
Hmm.
Doing customer success, which is stuff like CRM, so customer relationship management, especially with candidates that were, struggling with their video interview, then I can kind of step in to help. That was my primary function. But then there was other stuff like social media analysis and content stuff and,
Mm.
helping out with Salesforce administration.
What's it like working for a startup?
Oh, it's just great. I think it's just like a whole, different kind of, smaller, obviously, kind of group of people, and just having a nicer culture that you kind of feel like you can, you can suggest things and you can say things. But obviously, being very young, maybe everyone else is like 30. You don't, go say, oh, then we should do this. But definitely, where there's scope for it and to make suggestions. So I think it's just much nicer and kind of more exciting, and you feel like you're making much more of a difference with what you do. You really think, what can I do to drive things forward? Sorry, yeah, that was a battery thing. What can I do to drive it forward and, really help? Whereas if you were in a bigger kind of corporate place, you might just feel like a cog and you might not feel like you're having as much of an impact.
Brilliant. I have to say, you're making me feel very old if you're talking about 30-year-olds being old.
I mean, no, it's not about being old. It's just that, I wouldn't ever, if I go, I'm 19, I'm not going to view myself as kind of equal as them. You kind of, have to kind of have respect. So I wouldn't come in and be like, oh, we should do this because I know everything now.
That's really interesting because one of the issues that I know a lot of employers struggle with young people is this idea of professionalism and what being professional means when you go and work in a workplace. And one of those issues is about the relationship between older people and younger people and how they interact. And it's really refreshing to hear your understanding or sort of awareness of that whole thing about what might work with some people who've been in the workplace for longer than you have. Really interesting.
Very, I mean, Tasked, I would say, because they really are about like being a youth recruitment agency, so really specialising in helping young people. So I mean, they obviously go out of their way to find companies that will really be on board with, yeah, let's have a young person, they can really add something. So I wouldn't say that it was ever a case of, oh, it's, I mean, there's never been anything difficult. I think I've been really lucky because I know some people have jobs and they really, oh, I'm so unhappy, but it's been for me really the dream job, and it's definitely very kind of jokey and very kind of friendly, and everyone's very nice, and people go out of their way to help me when I've messed up with something or I've got something wrong. But yeah, definitely, I think for me it's just about, you should just have that general respect and kind of really just know and appreciate the opportunity that you have.
Brilliant. And I know that you have some entrepreneurial instincts of your own around coding and other things to do with the online world. Tell us a little bit about some of your initiatives and plans.
Sure, I think for me, the biggest thing is about for young people, because I mean, we kind of, we love tech, we love doing this, spend so much time online. I think the biggest thing has been going from being a consumer to also just thinking about being a creator and thinking out instead of just seeing what other people are doing and being like, oh, okay, and you never, kind of try and do something new on your own. So I think for me that was a big thing, because I kind of thought with school I was like, yeah, I can do that and I can have all this, but I kind of felt like I was limiting myself by not thinking beyond that in an extracurricular sense. So I started like going to events. So I'd go to kind of mini hackathons, etc. with Technopop, and then after that I heard about one at run by a company called Freeformers. So it's a day that they call Upload Live, and it's part of their corporate social responsibilities. They come in and they upskill young people, so it's called One for One. Because whilst they upskill also like companies, being a digital transformations company, they also want to really help young people see that they have all this potential, kind of just to teach them about all the amazing things they can get to do. So then I got involved with that, and that was like a really big day for me, because I think that was really gave me a mindset shift into thinking I could be an entrepreneur. And then I entered like a competition after that, did really well, and then from then on I really got into doing websites and doing stuff like that. So I've been able to help a few people out, and I'm actually hoping to launch my own agency in February and really make a good go of it.
So you could be in a year's time doing international relations in Canada or Sweden and running your own web agency.
So should I just turn that off and we can take that question again and will you edit it?
Sorry, no problem. I'll say it again.
Make it go. Stop. Yeah, it's always some weird marketing call. Sorry.
The question again was, you could be it's a statement really, an observation. In a year's time, you could be in Sweden or Canada doing international relations and running your own agency, online agency. So how does that feel?
Well, that would be really exciting, because I think, having that autonomy of being able to do something freelance in addition to, whatever else you're doing, so making it fit to your schedule, I think that would be really exciting, and just getting to be more global and have a whole variety of clients and projects. Yeah, that would be that'd be amazing.
Brilliant. So what are you learning from your experiences that, in terms of what comes across very much is that you go out there quite proactively and explore. So what are you learning, and what are the messages for other young people about how to make your way in the world when you're kind of leaving education?
Well, I'm learning to kind of be, definitely. I think going out there and getting things for yourself, kind of don't wait for life to happen to you. You need to happen to life, because you just can't wait around, where maybe things aren't going well. Because obviously, I get rejections and I apply to things and, you don't get it and you think, oh, that's disappointing. And, when they give feedback, obviously that's always a positive, but you don't always get that. So I think just really having resilience and kind of, I think it's okay to be afraid, but you can't let that stop you from trying. You have to kind of be like, yeah, I'm scared, but I think that's a good thing. So you should kind of really, because once you're scared, you're pushing yourself and you're going beyond that. So definitely, I think just really, I would say to people, keep going for it. I know there's struggles and there's, but you don't get an interview. Some people don't respond and tell you didn't get something, but just keep kind of going for it and like kind of making things happen for yourself. There's so many opportunities, especially in the UK.
It's really interesting what you say about being scared. I've been reading some interesting research recently which talks about, instead of being scared and it being fear, you turn it into excitement. And if you're excited about it, it kind of overcomes the fear.
Definitely, because obviously, you're kind of excited about the potential, and and obviously you're scared of like the failure, but yeah, you have to focus on this could go really well and this could be something. And obviously, even if it doesn't turn out to be what you hoped, you always will learn something.
What's been your biggest challenge so far? When that fear has set in, and how did you deal with it?
I think for me, the biggest challenge is just about time and always kind of being afraid, like, oh, I've wasted time or I've not done what was the best thing to be doing then. So I think, yeah, the biggest challenge is not getting kind of stuck up in either taking on too much and then you do a lot of busy work where you're just kind of, yeah, you've done a lot today, but it's actually not giving you very much ROI on whatever your goals are. So I think, yeah, the biggest challenge for me is definitely time and making the best use of it. But, just have to get 1% better each day.
Brilliant. That's a great philosophy for life, etc. So, what else would you sort of, from your experience, what other lessons are you learning that would be helpful for young people in terms of applying for jobs and seeking their career direction?
I think definitely. It's just about research. There's always going to be, someone who's done something before you. So, people starting to do your CV. The first thing would be to go and look at CV templates online if you're really struggling. But some people wouldn't even really think to do that. They just kind of want to stumble out there and kind of have a hard time with it. But there's always, something online. There's always someone who's done something before you. So definitely relying on help from other people and, just ask and reach out and say, hey, what about this? Could you help me with this? I'm confused by this. So yeah, definitely having a network around you, just even if it's people that you're not speaking to directly, just people online with people that I think coming together to try and keep each other motivated. I think that's really helpful. They call it mastermind. So you have people that know your goals and they know what you're working on and what you're trying to do. And each week to come and feedback and say, yeah, I did this, I didn't do well with this, I didn't do that, and obviously that keeps you accountable. So I think just definitely, just don't go alone too much.
Yeah, that's really, really good advice. The very fact that we're having this conversation and you reached out to me and etc. is proof of exactly what you're talking about.
Because I think, definitely the podcast you do, the people, it's always really inspirational to hear from that. So I think, find podcasts that really kind of just keep you on track. You make time to listen to, I don't know, whatever music, etc. People, I don't want to listen to the artists because I just, but whatever, you make time to listen to all that music, but, you could put 10 minutes in to listen to a motivational podcast. You could, say you're going to spend 15 minutes doing a Udemy course on personal transformation or whatever it might be.
Yeah, no, it's really good. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
No, not anything that I can think of, but just I guess to just be like, it's hard and nothing's easy, but I think you just have to really keep trying because you just owe that to yourself.
Brilliant. And how can people contact you, Nyasha?
Well, I'm on Twitter, so it's just my name, Nyasha, and then my last name, Duri, as one thing, and then I recently bought my own domain name. So
brilliant.
The personal branding, so I will just have a website, so that's also just nyashaduri.com.
I shall make sure that the blog that accompanies this podcast spells your name right and has all those connections in there. Thank you very much indeed for being my guest today, and really good luck for the future.